After Donald Trump and J.D. Vance made an absolute fool out of themselves by attacking Zelensky in the Oval Office, Donald Trump actually kicked Zelensky out of the White House, which means the lunch they were supposed to have, the mineral deal, and even the peace talks were all of a sudden canceled because Donald Trump is such a petulant man-baby. Volodymyr Zelensky, on the other hand, had a follow-up interview over at Fox News with Brett Baier that he ended up keeping. And I think it's important that we take a look at a few segments from this interview because it really shows you the true difference between somebody like Zelensky, who is an actual leader, versus somebody like Donald Trump or J.D. Vance, which just embarrassed the United States in that absolutely horrible interaction that they had in the Oval Office. So let's go ahead and take a look at a few of these clips. And I'm going to start it off with the opening question out of the gate by Brett Baier was, well, do you owe Donald Trump an apology? And if you guys do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe.
President Trump said after your meeting that you disrespected him and the vice president and all of America in the Oval Office. Do you think you did? And do you think you owe an apology to President Trump?
Thank you so much. First of all, thank you for the invitation for this dialogue, and good evening to all your country, to all Americans. I'm very thankful to Americans for all your support. You did a lot. I'm thankful to President Trump and to Congress bipartisan support. And I was always very thankful from all our people. You helped us a lot from the very beginning during 3 years of full-scale innovation. You helped us to survive. Anyway, we are strategic partners, and even in such tough dialogue, and I think we have to be very honest and we have to be very direct to understand each other, because it's very, for us, very necessary to President Trump, and I'm with all respect that he wants to finish this war, but nobody wants to finish more than we.
This is such an important point. Of course, Zelensky and the Ukrainians would love to stop this war. But peace talks mean nothing unless there are security guarantees for Ukraine. Because otherwise, Putin is just going to catch his breath and then do it again in a couple years. We have seen this pattern from him over and over and over and over again. He invaded Crimea in 2014, and then there was some sort of peace agreement type talks, and then he broke the ceasefire and he invaded in February of 2022. Of course, the Ukrainians want to stop this war, but it needs to be a just and durable peace, which means Ukraine needs security guarantees. That is not too much to ask for, and that is the main component of any lasting peace deal between Ukraine and Russia. Zelensky understands this, and I'm just so happy that he stood his ground for his people. He stood up for his people. It's just such a stark contrast between what Donald Trump and J.D. Vance actually did. Zelensky is trying to stand up for all of his people. He's rightly pointing out that his people do not want a ceasefire if there are no security guarantees down the line. So let's go ahead and move on to this next, where Brett Baier actually asks him again, well, so you don't owe him an apology? And shame on Brett Baier for this framing.
So I'm not hearing from you, Mr. President, a thought that you owe the president an apology.
No, I respect the president and I respect American people. And I think that we have to be very open and very honest. And I'm not sure that we did something bad.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Zelensky didn't do anything wrong. It was J.D. Vance and Donald Trump who went on the attack with the media in the room. They were trying to spin up some narrative for their base, give them a little bit of red meat to chew on. Zelensky did nothing wrong. In fact, he sat there calm, cool, and collected as J.D. Vance spouted and parroted Russian talking points, as Donald Trump yelled like a petulant little man baby. Zelensky did nothing wrong in this interaction, and therefore, he has nothing to apologize for. Absolutely nothing. He is then asked whether or not this public spat was actually good for Ukraine.
But do you think the public spat in the Oval Office in front of the media served Ukrainians well today?
I think this kind of spat is I mean this we have. I mean, this is not good for both sides anyway, and I very open, but I can't, change our Ukrainian attitude to Russia, and I don't want they kill us for us. This is very, very clear that Americans are the best of our friends, Europeans are the best of our friends, and Putin with Russian, their enemies. And it doesn't mean that we don't want peace. We just want to recognize the reality, the real situation.
Yeah, and this is exactly right. Again, coming back to this idea that the peace talks mean nothing unless we have security guarantees. It has to be just and durable. And he can say that, yes, Europe is our best friends. America is our best friends. But we don't just come to some sort of peace agreement without the appropriate mechanisms in place to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And this is what the Ukrainian people want. They are fighting for their freedom, their sovereignty. They do not just want some ceasefire so people stop dying if it doesn't mean that they're going to have lasting peace in the long run. And this is exactly the correct way to look at this. But Donald Trump and J.D. Vance seem to have no understanding of that at all. It's an absolute embarrassment for the United States, especially because Ukraine is our ally. This is not the way we should have been treating our ally. And of course, a public spat like this is not good for both parties. It made America look weak as hell, and it jeopardized any sort of peace talks going forward because Donald Trump is a man-child, and because his feelings may have been hurt, he might call these peace talks off altogether, which is an absolute travesty for Ukraine. He is then asked, well, do you want peace or do you want to continue fighting? And again, shame on Brett Baier for this type of framing. Of course these people want peace.
Leaving the White House today, President Trump said this.
He's looking to go on and fight. He wants to come back right now, but I can't do that.
What do you make of that? Do you want to continue fighting? Do you want peace? And if he had the opportunity to go back to the White House right now, would you do it?
No. First of all, we want peace. That's why I'm in the United States. That's why I visited President Trump. And thanks for invitation again. The deal on minerals is the first step to security guarantees. It's meant for the peace, closer to peace. That's why I'm here. And we have tough situation. To understand it is to be in Ukraine. You saw it, Brett. You was once. Thank you again. So I think that's very important to understand what's going on. But I respect my soldiers and our people, our civilians who work and support our warriors. I can't say just stop. Nobody will stop because everybody afraid that Putin will come back tomorrow. We want just and lasting peace. It's true. We want security guarantees.
That's exactly right. I'm going to continue to kick this dead horse because it is so important that people understand that a ceasefire means nothing unless there are security guarantees. And for Donald Trump to try to have Zelensky sign this mineral deal without outlining any concrete steps towards security guarantees, I think is a very bad way to treat one of our allies. But because Zelensky wants peace, of course that's why he's here in America, because he wants to get closer to peace, he is willing to sign on to this deal in hopes that Donald Trump is a good faith actor and he is going to follow through on those security guarantees. Because, like I said, and I will continue to kick this dead horse, the security guarantees are the most important part. Because if Russia is just able to have a ceasefire for them to catch their breath, they can recoup for a year or two, and then they'll do it all over again in a couple years. That is not a just and durable peace. So the security guarantees is one of the main components that Ukraine needs in order to get to peace. Because they have to be assured that Russia is not going to be allowed to do this again. And that is exactly why this talking point continues to come up. He is then asked whether or not he thinks, excuse me, whether or not he thinks this is a ambush or not.
Do you think the confrontation in the Oval Office today was pre-planned, like Senator Murphy suggests?
I don't know.
You don't know? You think maybe?
I don't know. No. I don't. I mean, I don't know about it. I think no. I think it was just a really tough situation because we've been very open, very direct.
What set you off? What made you mad? Because they said your tenor and tone set that.
It's not about mad. It's not, Brett. You see, how to say? When you are in the United States, and for example, president or vice president or somebody or senators, it doesn't matter, big politicians, yes, when they, for example, say that Ukraine is almost destroyed, that our soldiers run away, that they are not heroes, that Ukraine lost millions of civilians, that his president is dictator, you know? What is the reaction? It's not about me. The reaction is that where is our friendship between Ukraine and the United States? That's it. This is filling, and that's why I do not want to lose our great partners at the United States. And I just said that it's not the first time. I said it by phone, and we had some other conversations, and we had in Munich meetings, and I said, please, be correct. Just, I want to be very polite. I mean this, be correct with this number. When you say about the number, each person is important. When you say about 1 million of losses, we don't have any million of losses. Just when you speak about the territories, maybe some territories and etc., it's not just territory, it's houses, it's people's lives. You know, their fathers, mother, their relatives, grandfather, they died or this. I mean, this during this war. Nobody wants to forgive Putin. It's not funny, you know, or fairy tale. This is real life. That's right. What I said. And when you said it, a lot of times to my big friends who've been here today in our dialogue, and then they again begin to repeat the same things, I think it's not. I mean, that's why I said it's not good way between partners, good partners and friends. That's it.
So in case you guys weren't able to follow, what he is saying is that when he comes to America, one of his greatest allies, and he hears the president and the vice president parroting Russian talking points, that is no way to treat your friend or your ally. And that's exactly what J.D. Vance and Donald Trump have continued to do. Oh, there's been millions of Ukrainians lost. That's not true. And when he's talking about Russia seizing this territory, Volodymyr Zelensky is trying to humanize it. Like, hey, these are our people. These are our homes. These are the women and children. These are our soldiers that he is standing up for the dignity for. These people are trying to fight against a tyrannical aggressor. They are trying to stand up for their freedom and their sovereignty. And to come over to the United States and hear Russian talking points spat in his face in the Oval Office, that is no way to treat an ally and a friend. But that's what this Trump administration has done. So he is asking, like, please, can we just live in reality? We are the ones fighting this war. We are the ones taking on the losses. We are the ones who have had thousands upon thousands of children kidnapped by Russia, taking them into Russia and then changing their names. So he's asking the Trump administration, can we at least play by the same set of facts? And this is like one of the greatest issues of our time, because Donald Trump and the MAGA base, they live in a conspiracy bubble that is not attached to reality. And now it is having consequential impacts on Ukraine, which is an absolute travesty as they try to fight for their country, for their sovereignty, for their freedom, and then come to a just and durable peace agreement with Russia after they invaded a couple years back. That is what he is asking for here, and it is the exact right framing. This is not how a friend or an ally should be treating me. He is then asked, well, do you think that this relationship with Trump can be salvaged?
Do you think your relationship with Donald Trump, President Trump, after today, can be salvaged.
Can be.
Чи можуть ваші відносини з Трампом бути врятовані після сьогоднішнього дня?
Yes, of course, because it's relations more than two presidents. It's the historical relations, strong relations between our people. And that's why I always began with to thank your people, from our people. And this is the most important. And of course, thankful to President and of course to Congress, but first of all to your people. Your people help to save our people. People, the first. Human rights, the first. This is very, very important. And we are thankful and sorry for this. I mean, we wanted very much to have only strong relations, and I'm very count that we will have it.
Mr. President, we're honored that you kept this interview. Thank
This is the most important point out of this interview. This shows the stark contrast between a real man like Zelensky and the petulant man baby, Donald Trump. Zelensky is coming here on behalf of his whole country, all of his people. And Donald Trump, all he cares about is the transactional business between individuals. Donald Trump is not looking out for the greater America. He is not looking out for our best interests. And that's why it's so important to point this out. Donald Trump, or Zelensky here, is saying, of course, this relationship has to be salvaged because it's not just about me and Donald Trump. I am here on behalf of my people. And the American people have helped us so much. And that these little squabbles between individuals means nothing when we compare the relationship between the two countries, right? The people of Ukraine and the people of the United States. We have been strong allies since at least the 90s. So that is what he is talking about here. And it is such a stark difference with how Donald Trump views the world, because he will let these little personal squabbles stand in the way of peace talks or mineral because he is such a man-child. His ego gets bruised so easily that he is willing to shut down peace talks because he feels like he was somehow disrespected in the Oval Office, even though Zelensky just sat there calm, cool, and collected while he stood up for his people. So I just have mad respect for Zelensky. I think he has been a pretty good leader for the Ukrainian people. I think coming over here to the United States with English being your second language and trying to, get through that barrier as he stands up for his people, I have mad respect for this man, and I think he did an excellent job in the Oval Office as J.D. Vance and Donald Trump berated him in what seemed to me like a coordinated attack. But it's just so disappointing. As an American, I don't think I've ever been more embarrassed to be an American after Donald Trump and J.D. Vance attacked one of our allies in the Oval Office so they could give their base some red meat to chew on. That is absolutely grotesque to me. So I will leave it there for now, guys. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. We've got to build something here on the left that can adequately push back against this right-wing media ecosystem that just shovels shit for Donald Trump every single day. So if you do like what I do here, please do remember to subscribe. If you want to see the full breakdown of the argument that transpired in the Oval Office between Zelensky, J.D. Vance, and Donald Trump, go ahead and watch that video on the screen now. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.